The Wellness Show, Episode 70.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. Welcome to the Wellness Show, and this afternoon we have Don DelVecchio on the call. And I'm just going to take a look at her bio, and I'm pretty excited about this one because we're going to talk about things like sacred time, being in the flow, how to be guided, intuition, all those things that help us be able to be present in the moment and to show up. So Dawn is a mentor for heart-centered entrepreneurs. She's also an intuitive reader, a ceremony facilitator, an astrologer, and best-selling author. Her programs, readings, and immersion workshops support people in accessing and activating their soul path so they can reach, impact, and have more income with their gifts. Wow, that's exciting. So you're helping people show up. And how did you make this transition yourself? Because I know it's based on your own personal experience. Were you in the corporate world?
I was not corporate. I actually, my journey has been really circuitous to get to where I am. I began my journey when I was very young, at 18 years old. I had a child, and I had him at home. I was very into alternative wellness and health. That led me on a spiritual journey into the lexicon of the awakening goddess mindset, which in 1984 was almost unheard of. And from there, I discovered, I went to university and discovered that I had a real gift for writing, which I kind of already knew, but I got it honed really well there. And then I took a warrior path for a long time in the martial arts. And then after a divorce, when my son was a young man, I moved to Asia and became a travel writer there. And that led to copywriting and internet marketing eventually, when the internet came online. And all this while using astrology, tarot, intuitive guidance on the side with my girlfriends and friends as they needed it, and family members, but not really doing it as a business, because the business was internet marketer, copywriter, author. And so what happened was, as I continued to work for the money with the gifts I sort of came in with, like I was resting on the laurels of my ability as a writer, basically, and not activating my own soul's path, my own soul purpose. It got more and more and more painful. The money, it became harder to make the money. It became less joyful. I found myself strapped to basically chained to my desk, writing copy all the time, and really being like the voice of other people's voice instead of my own message and my own leadership. And so in time, I began sometimes we don't move until we're uncomfortable enough to make change.
Yes.
My discomfort and the gift of, and the smarts of investing in great business mentorship myself helped me to begin to breathe life into another possibility for who I was and how I was showing up. And at some point in the very recent past, actually, I had to make the leap from really this full-time copywriter, internet marketer, left brain strategist stuff to creating sacred space, supporting people with my other gifts. And that is opening up and expanding at a rate that the copywriting never did. So it just shows, like, when you line up with what you're really here to do, the universe has your back, the divine has your back, your higher guidance will lead you in the right direction. But it's not necessarily easy internally, because the ego wants to control and say, oh my God, how am I gonna?
Yes.
So it's a trust walk. And
it's a bit of a bitch, though, isn't it, when you know how to make money and you're making money and you're in that flow and you think you've got it all wrapped up, and then all of a sudden what worked won't work anymore, and you come to almost a standstill, which is the first clue, if anybody's listening to this call, that you're about to make a huge shift in your life. You're going to find your soul path and your divinity and why you're here. And then then it just doesn't work anymore. And then having to rediscover and retool and come back. But I'm excited by the fact that you have both of those worlds, the copywriting world and the marketing and the soul connection, because people like me really need you, because I haven't been able to bridge that yet, right? I can do the one part very well and do know why I'm here and what my soul path is, but the copy and everything, putting my head into that is really almost torturous for me. So it's really wonderful that you can bridge this world, and it's exciting the fact that this other part of the world, the helping people with their soul path, is the one that's bringing you the money. That's really neat.
Yeah, I feel really grateful, and I really see how the what we would call the masculine and feminine principles, and that's not a gender thing, that's not a man-woman thing, that's a frequency thing, that I've cultivated both of those a lot in my life. First, it was through a lot of what I would call goddess rituals, getting together with women in sacred space and doing extremely feminine frequency things when we were young mothers. So motherhood is, that's that quality. And then going into the martial arts and learning progressive combative arts and very, very warrior energy. And all of this time sort of remembering what lifetimes I've had as a warrior and a priestess. And really now in my 50s, getting to bring those together in service to the awakening that's happening on the planet, that's crucially necessary to happen on the planet at this time. And it's funny how the things we just were drawn to because we were interested in, that were very marginalized when certainly when I was younger in the 80s, now are in the center. So even as a copywriter, I was doing strategy for really high frequency people doing high service on the planet. So it wasn't like I was just writing, Coca-Cola ads. No, I never had to do that. Right. I could always write strategically for very spiritual or high purpose clients. So it's great. It's really great. But I'm thankful too now that I could step more into the role of leader, mentor, helper in a way that's not behind the scenes writing and all left brain stuff.
Yeah, now you can sort of step forward in all of you, right? So do you do that through workshops? Like I understand you're on your way to go back to one of my favorite places on the planet, to ballet, and you're going to be part of a present and being a presenter there for women. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a conference there in November called the Awakened Woman Conference, and I'll have the opportunity to work with a lot of younger women who are very much empowered and active and out there go-getting and doing incredible things. I'll be working in that particular workshop is about uniting sacred service with bountiful success. I also do workshops and talks here on Southeast Asia, on tarot and astrology, and using tarot and astrology as means to access higher guidance for people who aren't just like, a vessel tapped in, because this is a challenge for a lot of people to open that, and how we can use symbols, images to sort of open a door in that doesn't require someone else to tell you the meaning of the card or the meaning of the symbol. So so I guide people in that way. And then I may also be doing a workshop in Mexico in early November. And then I'll be doing also some in Thailand this winter where I live. I live in Chiang Mai in the winters. So I'll also be doing some workshops there as well. And then I work one-on-one. I have a couple of different types of mentorship programs, depending on whether it's business or just needing to make a big change in your life and you need spiritual guidance. So I work with people one-on-one in those ways as well.
Wow, you're doing lots of wonderful things, and you get to travel all over and live your passion. So you had some questions you wanted me to ask, because I'm going to ask one of them in your own words. Okay. How can people find their mission if they don't know what it is? Great question.
Yeah, this is really, it's the reason why I wrote this question for you to ask me is because it's so important at this time for those of us who came here to help the awakening to get on with it now. We have to get on with
Yeah,
it.
no excuses
So,
now. Now's the time.
so how do you find it if you don't know what it is? Well, it depends on how stuck you are and how clogged you are with fear or overwhelm or whatever. The first thing you really need to do is carve out time that's quiet time. So it's time for you to really listen in and say, what do I love? What has meaning to me? If I could do anything, what would I do? And if you find yourself, now I would think that the people who are listening to your show, Tyson, probably are already a little bit developed on the spiritual path. So if you've already been working on yourself and you are not clear on what your path or your mission is, then this has to do with left brain attachment to needing to pay the bills, support the family, or ego saying, I'm going to do this, even if it kills me in the process.
Right.
So for you, it's really that turning in, giving permission, if it's every day. This isn't just meditation. This is some kind of self-reflection. Meditation is key, of course, but self-reflection, whether that's journaling or prayer, but specifically asking questions and enacting your intention to open and receive the guidance of my mission. I am here to serve. I am here, let me be of service to the highest good of all. Let me do my mission, my soul's purpose, like literally asking for it. Now, another thing I've come across recently a lot are people who are pretty new to the spiritual unfoldment of themselves. And there are some of them who are really very empathic, but they don't know it. And so what happens is they are now, if they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're literally clogged up with what I call other people's junk because they haven't ever shielded, they haven't known how to do that. So if there's any way in which when you hear me say you're clogged up with other people's energy and junk, the first thing you need to do is work with someone who can help you clear that. And I can actually refer people. That's not my expertise. I have I have a huge community of resources. So that needs to happen.
I'll just put up my hand and say, that's me, by the way. My nickname.
That's you. Great.
I help people, particularly empaths, discover how to manage their own energy fields. And the show just previous to this was how to survive as an empath in this world. And this is the key thing, is how to get clear everybody else's stuff that you're running as your own. Very, very important.
It's the first thing. And then after that, of course, you can ask for the guidance. That's the first step. And then work with someone. I mean, one of the ways that I work with people, but not if they're clogged as an empath. They need to clear that first.
Yeah.
But if they're not clear on what it is, it's very, very easy for me to use my intuitive guidance where my guides talk to their guides. My people talk to your people. While I look at your astrology chart and use tarot. Between those things, I have done tarot for 32 years. I've done astrology for more than 20. And there are specific things I look at. I focus in astrology on soul evolution growth. That's really all I'm interested in is where was your soul? What are your skill sets from other lifetimes? And what are you here to do and grow and develop this time?
Yeah, what's your path here? Why did you incarnate? So why did you incarnate? Get out of their own way? How do you help people do a mind dump? How do you help people get over the whole thing of showing up and do, and pushing. How do you help people relax and let go and allow themselves to receive guidance?
Yes, great. Well, there's a few ways. So if I was working with someone one-on-one, it's really when we meet via Skype or phone or Zoom, we breathe together, we connect. And then I'm working with them with their soul path, it's really customized based on what their needs are. So is it that you're feeling wobbly and scared and we just need to pull some higher guidance and draw on higher guidance to say, all right, here's what you need to do? Or do you need enactments, what I call enactment or embodying activities? So I may create a ceremony for you to go and enact. So last night I had a gathering here of women for the new moon and the eclipse. And we did a whole enactment around doing a meditation to access that which we want to give birth to at this time in our lives, the next creative project, and then take a stone and blow the energy into that. Tarot card to ask for who's the ally, to the archetypal support. So you see, there's the processes. And then, of course, if people are in groups, then they can do that with me in groups as well.
I love that. I love the whole thing, a ceremony. Coming from Mayan shaman background, I understand the power of ceremony. So you were mentioning about how to use ceremony to help people connect to their true nature as a way to connect them into their guidance or the flow of what needs to come through in the moment. So could you talk a bit more about that?
Yes. Everybody's different and we all receive guidance in different ways. And the one thing we share in common, however, is that we are spirits, to quote Sting, we are spirits in the material world. So there's something about the integration of body and spirit that's really key at this time, body, mind, and spirit. And so when we enact an intention and we embody it in our actions, there's a way in which we really say to the universe, to the higher self, I am here and this is my intention, in a more powerful way than simply speaking it or writing it. And the shamans of throughout history have known this, right? So, for example, if your intention is that you are planting a new seed to understand what your vision, what your soul purpose is, that, right now you're working a job, you don't really like it, maybe you even feel hate for what you do every day. So there's something else, but hey, it pays the bills. You're really scared right now. You don't know how you're going to be able to, you can't just jump. Mm-hmm. But you can create space to set the intention. So it could be, you could pray, you could meditate, you could visualize. All those things are great. They're really good. And how about doing a ceremony where you create a sacred circle and you set the intention and you take a stone or even some seeds and you blow your intention very clearly into the seeds and hold them to your heart, and then go outside and plant them in a new moon. There's simple ways to put in the body, as well as the wish and the mind, the intention to align with the soul purpose.
Yeah, this is the basis of being a wizard or being a shaman. And I love that, the idea that you're allowing people to learn what indigenous people have learned since time immemorial and bring it into the now moment and be all right with that, so we can all be our own shaman and we can be all our own wizards and priestesses to guide not only ourselves but our own tribe. So how do you help people discover their life path or their soul path? I think you were mentioning that you use tarot, you use astrology, but mm-hmm. if I was just on this call and I didn't know anything about astrology, I didn't know anything about a tarot, what would be the first thing that I would need to do?
Well, I'd ask you what you love to do, what has given you the most joy in your life. What makes your heart sing? What could you do every day, day after day, and not get paid for it?
So it's a passion.
Not that you should not get paid for it. It's
so
the passion.
You're asking people, what's your passion? What gets you mm-hmm. up in the morning? What gives you the juice? Not the 9 to 5. And if you're in the 9 to 5 and you're not feeling connected, then maybe your soul is saying it's time for a changer, to find out what your path is. And that's where you would come in. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the places. And one of the groups of people I work with are very successful entrepreneurs. In fact, mostly what I find is a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they come to me and they've done something amazing in real estate or something else, and they're like, you know what, I this is great, and it's not what I want to do.
Right.
I've been studying, past life regression or this, that, and the other thing, and I want to open a practice now, or I want to do something. I want to create something where I am the healer, teacher, leader, service provider.
And so there's another
And
clue. There's another clue, right? That here you've been there, you've done that, you've got the t-shirt, you've made the money, you're highly successful. And then the next question is, what's next? Because you know in your heart of your hearts that there's something lacking, that there's something more, and now you have to go inward and discover what that is. So that's another clue.
Right.
If you're listening to this call and you're one of those people, it means, okay, you're now ready to shift into the spiritual aspect of who you are. It wants to be birthed, because there's something more than making lots of money on the planet. And so that's where you help people come into their divinity that way as well.
Yeah. And then, of course, if they want, I could totally help them with the business stuff, because I've done the whole business, internet marketing, copy, strategy. I know how to bring any kind of product or program online and help you build a tribe of fans and followers. So if you're starting from scratch, that means
Right.
you have no client base, no prospect base. So how do you do that? And how do you leverage the internet and all that stuff? But as long as it's in alignment with what you really want to do, because this was my pain, was I used skills I had, but I could use all the strategies I knew, but because it wasn't really aligned with what I was here to do, it was like limping along. It never really, shot out into the stratosphere in a way that it could, because it was misalignment. And I just feel like at this time, if we're being called to serve to a higher capacity and to serve the awakening, we don't really have a lot of time yet to go, well, I'll do that in 10 years after we just don't.
Yeah, now's the time. And if
Now
not
is the
now,
time.
then when? Because we're on a accelerated path. The job needs to be done. And many of us incarnated in order to make this planetary transition. And guess what? It's now, not tomorrow. It's today. So So you're cultivating a tribe. So how do you deal with, it sounds like you have a tribe that in the 6 months that you're living in Asia, and then you have a tribe that you're developing when you're here. Or do you just have one tribe and you meet, online? How does that work?
That's a great question. Yeah, right now I have a community here in Sedona.
Yeah.
I have contacts all over the world because I've spent a lot of time traveling, and most of them know me still as a copywriter marketer.
Right.
But I do have contacts all over the world. And the community in Chiang Mai is quite small, but I have a lot of friends. So, and the online piece this is something where I am just starting to build out, all right, how do I want to show up online? Because what's happening for me, the way that I've connected with people is I go to events and conferences, we connect, we make the connection, they start working with me. So I haven't actually marketed. I'm like the shoemaker's children, right? So I know how to do it, but I haven't done much for it myself, because my clients have almost all have come word of mouth. So now that I'm doing this sacred work, this now is something I'm starting to build out, but I'm just at the beginning of it, in the marketing piece of it, putting myself out there.
Yeah, I think that's another hot tip for people on the call, is to remember that when you're in when you're expressing your divine gifts and your divinity, then that's your marketing. People find you spontaneously, you attract them, they feel your energy, they want to work with you. So, one of the precautions is don't get stuck in all the marketing and all the latest, tools and, things that you think that you need to do in order to succeed. Just show up, be authentic in your divine truth, and people are going to want to work with you. So that's...
Yeah. And you've got to show up too. It's not enough to be behind the computer. So it's showing up in your body, in your experience, but it's also, because when you're in that, you want to share. So for you, it might be sharing, like for you, it's doing the podcast, doing these. For someone else, I know a woman who's really building an extraordinary tribe right now. She's younger and she gets the Facebook thing, and all she did was create a group. And from that group, it's just building and building. other people, it's like what I'm doing is I do a lot of talks and gatherings here, and that's what I'll do also in Chiang Mai this year. And so as your passion drives you to the next thing, and then you do want to do something online, but just pick one. Keep it simple. Don't feel like, oh my God, I got to understand all this stuff. No.
Right.
If every day you're posting from that place of your mission, people will notice. They'll notice. And that's from there, then you could say, all right, I've got all these friends on Facebook. It's not a big fan page because pages are pretty useless anymore anyway. I have all these friends. What do I want to do? Do I want to start a group with them? Do I want to make offers? Do I want to invite them to my events? So it's just there's some strategy, but it moves from the inside out. It generates from you and your authentic soul purpose, your soul path.
So when are you going to start a program for soul-based entrepreneurs to help them take their passion that they want to deliver in the world and help them collectively and cooperatively create copy?
Yes. Well, I actually have one of those programs.
Oh, great.
It's called Website. Yeah, it's called Website Writing Bootcamp. It's a simple program. It's 4 modules. It gives you basics, so it's foundational. And but other than that, I do have a Sacred Business Mentoring program. That's my long 1-year program. That's the bigger investment. That's one-on-one mentorship with me. And then I also have a Soul Path 3-month program. It's Soul Path Guidance. That's not really so much about business, but about helping you either make the pivot into that clarity through all of my various tools, support you in dealing with the fear that may come around that, because sometimes our mission is bigger than we're ready to face.
Yeah, that's
and so there's a lot of fear to clear. That was what held me back.
Yeah.
Leadership? No.
Yeah.
I think I got killed for that in other lifetimes. I think I'll not. It was hard. So the Soul Path is a great thing if you're just really wanting to have the courage to look at a transition and you want that spiritual guidance.
Yeah, what I would love to see is you helping do a mastermind for heart-centered entrepreneurs around how to do copy that is aligned with your mission, and to help each other do that, so that we grow a tribe of that can end up being JV partners for each other, joint venture partners, because we're already on the same page. We understand each other's copy, and we understand where we're coming from and what we're trying to deliver to the world. I think that would be awesome.
Well, cool. I'll put that in the hopper. Yeah. And all my other things. I mean, like I said, I do have even my digital program, because I've always been this way. I've always been spiritual, and I always had clients who are spiritually minded and conscious. So the program does give you the basics, but it's not a mastermind. It's just, it gives you the foundations for how to write your website, how to write your sales pages, how to communicate in a way that's authentic, but actually has the strategy of copy. Because it's not the same as writing a term paper or talking about your modalities. It's not. It's different.
Well, this would be the graduate program. So when you got enough people coming out of that, we can do the next one, and I'll sign up. So that sounds pretty exciting to me. So I really love what you're doing. So when are you writing your book?
Oh, I wrote my book. It launched last year. It hit number 1 in Women in Business. It's called Spirit, Mind, and Money.
I like that.
And the subtitle is A New Conversation About Service and Success for the Holistic Business Owner.
Great.
And it's really, actually, the first part of that book, it's broken into 4 parts. And the first part actually has a lot about how to get your head around communicating what you do in the written word in a way that lands, that really resonates with your ideal audience. So that's the spirit component, and it's really about the spirit of your business, what inspired you, but it's also how to communicate the spirit of your business, communicate And it's not about your modalities and your certifications. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with speaking to the needs of your ideal client and being clear on who that is. So that whole first part actually would be of service to what you may be looking for right now as
that
well.
would be the basis of the mastermind. Absolutely. Is you?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not encouraging you to do anything, but no, yeah. So, did we cover all those questions that you wanted me to ask?
I don't know. I think we did one for sure. You can have a look and see. Let me see if there's anything else.
Well, we talked about how you help them, receive guidance. I think one of the questions that comes to my mind is, how do you help people get over the addiction of we have to work hard in order to succeed, or the whole do that's in our culture that's so addictive to, even for people that have a soul-based, expression. We still believe that that's the only way that we can succeed, the old paradigm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to dig at what's underneath it, which I don't know, for any of the astrologers who are listening to your show, I have got a tremendous amount of Pluto in my chart. So my tendency is always to go, what's underneath? What's driving that really? And what's driving it is fear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's fears.
Yeah.
So we have to clear the fear. Yeah. So that's why I just talk about this whole empath thing. If you're a person who's clogged up with other people's energy, you got to clear it first. You got to learn how to shield. That's okay. But that aside, let's assume you got pretty good boundaries. It's really just your own fear that's driving you. We look at what are the tools that can help you. Okay, I want to explain it this way. When a family is going to have a baby, or in my case, I was a single mother, I had 9 months to prepare. Mm-hmm. So I had to keep doing the things I was doing, but I had to begin to create space for something new, or in this case, someone new.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of money. I was young. I didn't have very much money at all. But what steps could I take every day to start to create space without just dropping the day job and spending a bunch of money on bassinets and everything else? I had to create a plan, and I had to nurture my body, because now it was the vessel for my child. So I had to feed it more nurturing food. I had to pay attention to my protein and the live food I was having. And we didn't know so much about organic and GMOs back then. This was 83, right? So how would you apply that same principle to, okay, I've got a lot of fear around making a change. I'm doing this job. I'm making 100, 200,000 a year. I know it's out of alignment, and I've got to do this thing that I've been wanting to do all this time. All right. So how can we begin to make space? This is the seed of the child, the love you want to birth. It doesn't happen like that. So what can we do every day to begin to create space, to nurture the vision, to nurture the trust, and to clear out the fear, so that there's spaciousness enough to birth this, to bring this forth? And again, if it's aligned, this is what we all know who have done this. When it's really aligned with what your soul mission is and intention, magical stuff happens. It just does.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that. And thank you for being so coherently clear and how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And so,
yes, you're welcome.
Thank you for being on this show. And how do people get hold of you?
Yes, if they want to, you can have a complimentary 30-minute session with me to explore your needs, either soul needs or soul purpose needs, or soul path needs, or business stuff. So you just email support@dawndelvecchio.com. DAWNDELVECCHIO.com. support@dawndelvecchio.com. And my assistant, Lori, will get that set up for you. And so that's probably the easiest way. You can check out my website. It's got old material on it, but anyway, you can look around there. And that's just my name, dawndelvecchio.com.
Well, thank you ever so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been really a pleasure to speak with you today.
All right. Take care for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.